Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the African Five-A-Side podcast. This is just a reaction video to the 2024-2025 CAF Champions League draw. We've been covering the CAF Champions League the whole season. We built a little bit of a small community over here, so it's my absolute pleasure to get a chance to talk about the CAF Champions League a little bit longer as we're sort of going through this long walk through the desert of 2 months without CAF Champions League football. But today was the day where we got a chance to uh, watch the draw and as a result converse a little bit about the CAF Champions League. And here I just wanted to talk about the four matchups and give my main thoughts. And we'll start with the first one, Al Ahly versus Al Hilal. Now, I mean, if you know anything about the CAF Champions League, you know Al Ahly are the biggest club in Africa. Not only the biggest budget, but also the most history, the most titles, the most ambitious, I think. And that's really what's most impressive to me about that club is that even after all that winning, they remain the most ambitious, in my opinion. Now, this season's been a little bit weird. I remember going to the CAF Champions League final last year, and I mostly watched it with Al Ahly supporters. It was in Tunis, but I watched it with the visiting supporters of Al Ahly. And I remember asking them, do you guys think your squad's going to look different next year? Because the goalkeeper Mohamed Shinawi was injured. He had long-term injury. They brought in the backup goalkeeper Ufa Shubair, who was really, really good, nominated for African Goalkeeper of the Year during the CAF Awards. Ali Ma'loul suffered an Achilles tendon injury in that CAF Champions League final, the match that I was at. Mohamed Abdel Mun'im, the center half, I remember he was getting rumors that he was going to be sold, and he was sold over the summer to OGC Nice in France. And then I was looking at Percy Tau, I was looking at Hussein Shahat, I was looking at all these different players, and I'm thinking to myself, man, everybody's aging, everybody's on a downturn. I think this team's going to look a lot different next year. And I remember them telling me, like, no, no, you're going to see Ali Ma'loul. We're just going to re sign him. And they did re sign him and eventually let him go. Shinawi has come back, but he hasn't really been himself this year. Um, Mohamed Abdul Mun'im left. Percy Tau came back, but wasn't really himself and now has moved on to Qatar. And so, yeah, to be honest, the first half of the season, I wasn't too impressed with Al Ahly, but there's mitigating circumstances. Number one, as always, they're playing so many competitions. No, they haven't really been great in those competitions. Losing like the Egyptian Super Cup. I think they lost the CAF Super Cup, or was it just the CAF Super Cup? In the Qatar tournament, that was like the former FIFA Club World Cup. They could have done much better as well. So they're in so many competitions. Number one and number two, injuries, particularly in the defensive sector, completely hamstrung this team. Even the coach, I think I remember at one time was injured. Um, and so now it feels like they're ready to shift gears. Ashraf Dari, the Moroccan center half, is back from injury. Mohamed Hani, the right back, is back from a 3 to 4 month injury. Yahya Atiyatullah, the Moroccan left back, is going to be back soon. He's the Ali Ma'loul replacement. And they made a few signings to replace Percy Tau. They brought in the Slovenian striker, Nate Gradishar, who I'm told has been good. I think he has had 3 goals and 2 assists in his first 5 matches. He can play, I guess, as a striker or a little bit off center. Um, so yeah, it feels like they're slowly starting to press the accelerator again and find their level. And thankfully, because they really didn't have any more time to waste. But when I look at their squad now, if they can remain healthy, I'm confident they can get back to where they were and they can be one of the top 2 to 3 teams in this tournament. My only remaining question now is on the wings. Hussein Shahat at times over the years has been the best winger in Africa. This year, I haven't really seen him consistently hit that level. Percy Tau at times also has been one of the best winger in Africa. Who's going to be that replacement there? That's what I'm just wondering. And then there's, a lot of Al Ahly supporters on this channel as well. Do you guys have worries about wing play or no? I know Imam Ashur has played on the wing and he's done it well. So maybe that's a solution. But I think if they can get proper wing play, that's when I'm going to be a little bit more confident about Al Ahly. And as long as their strikers continue to fire on all cylinders. Al Hilal. Al Hilal started off this group stage very, very hot. And for those that don't know, if you've been living under a rock, they've been playing in the Mauritanian League this year because of the Sudanese civil war. Um, and we thought that could have probably have a negative effect, but it's turned out to have an actual positive effect. Sometimes when you're sort of playing and fighting for a cause, it can make you even more motivated. And it seems to have been the case for the Sudanese national team and for the Sudanese clubs. Um, they started off the CAF Champions League very, very hot. I think 10 points from the first four matches. Um, and then they fell off a little bit. I think losing their last two, or maybe drawing and losing their last two. Why did they fall off? That's my real question. I know they rotated a little bit. For example, I think the last match against Mazembe, they brought in the goalkeeper Abu Ashirin instead of Issa Fofana, the very young, talented Ivorian goalkeeper. Um, so is it just rotation? Is it you're sort of taking your foot off the gas pedal, thinking that you're safe? Maybe it's both of those things. Or maybe you're not as good as we thought you were after those first four matches as well. I hope it's not that, but I just feel a lot less confident in Al Hilal after watching those last two games than I do uh, after watching their first four games. So it's one of those where I think Al Ahly are definitely from Egypt, are definitely favorites. I'm laughing because I know for many non-Arabic speakers, they mix these two names up all the time, Al Ahly and Al Hilal. So the fact that I'm jumping between the two might be confusing for some of you. If that was the case, while you were listening, leave me a comment below. um, the last point I would make for Al Hilal from Sudan is sometimes they say about young players, you don't know what you don't know, you know, and being naive can be a superpower of sorts because if you've played in Cairo International Stadium before and you have an idea of what's waiting for you, maybe you can be intimidated and carry some of that negative energy into the match. But when you have really young attacking players like Jean-Claude Giroud, Adama Koulibaly on the wings, 18 and 20 years old respectively, both who have carried you during the group stages of the CAF Champions League, maybe they don't know what Al Ahly is. Maybe they don't care what Al Ahly is. And that kind of, in French, they say insouciance, like carefree attitude. That can be very, very valuable for Al Hilal. Um, but still, the fact that Al Ahly, they have every more quality, not by far, not by much, because Al Hilal have really made up the ground in recent years with their scouting department, which is top notch. But Al Ahly have more quality. They have more expectations. They have better fan support. Maybe the only thing I would say is maybe a little bit less motivated, but you can't be not motivated if you're playing for Al Ahly. Yeah, and I don't know if we talked about Ashraf bin Sharqi, but that's another player that I don't know if he's going to step up or not. I don't know if maybe if you've had the chance to watch him for Al Ahly, I would appreciate a comment as well. Next match we're going to look at is Pyramids versus ASFAR, and I don't think we can get two more polar opposite playing styles. Pyramids, every time I've watched them, have sort of played this expansive, attacking, beautiful style of football with, these inverted wingers. Mustafa Fethi on the right wing, cutting in on his left foot. Ibrahim Adel on the left wing, cutting in on his right foot. Beautiful overlapping fullbacks. Hamdi and Shibi, the Moroccan and the Egyptian. Uh, Ramadan Subhi pulling the strings from midfield. Mohamed Lashin hitting these beautiful long diagonal balls. Fiston Mayele overpowering everybody and knocking in the goals and being a striker in attack. It's so much quality, first of all over the pitch. Very complementary attributes for all of those players, and the kind of football, like I said, that they play. They just pin you deep. They get wide. They use their fullbacks. They just punish you, and they've scored some beautiful, beautiful goals. So Pyramids have been, in my opinion, along with RS Berkane, one of the best sides to watch in Africa this year. Um, and ASFAR are much more compact, much more combative. Like they have these two older center midfielders, Al-Arabi Naji and Mohamed Rabi' Harimat. They have, uh, it seems like they play between the defensive line and the attacking line. They're not trying to do anything fancy. They're just trying to close you down. They're usually not scoring too many goals from open play, even though they did score some, but most of them are from dead balls. Um, And then even like the kind of atmospheres that we can be expecting, pyramids don't have any fans, whereas as far, their fans, they dress up in all black and it can be intimidating. They can really create a cauldron like atmosphere. So it's going to be an interesting match. I think pyramids, like I said, definitely have more quality, definitely, and I don't think anybody's doubting that for sure. But as far first of all, the first match is in Cairo. If they can go set up, make it life difficult, come away with a draw, for example, and then in that second leg, bring them back to Morocco and take them into the deep end, that could be a key to success. Um, but Pyramids have to create space at home and have to win, I think, by 2 goals to sort of be safe. I'm still picking Pyramids, but I'm just so fascinated by this matchup. But if you want to take, I think, out of any of these four matchups and you take two sides and say, ah, the most quality is in this tie. It's in this one, Mamelodi Sundowns versus Esperance de Tunis. I had picked Esperance de Tunis to win the CAF Champions League from the beginning of the season because I thought they had the best transfer window last summer. They brought in Yusuf Belali, they brought in Elias Mokwana, they brought in Abdurrahman Konate. They held on to their two Brazilians, Jan Sassi and Rodrigo Rodriguez. They've really come along after a slow start at the beginning of the year as well. I'm scared of that pick now because they have to go through Mamelodi Sundowns and then they have to go through Al Ahly and then they have to win the final as well. So they have the toughest path probably, them and Sundowns, out of any other clubs to win the Champions League. So if they win it now, I mean, you can't say they're not deserving if one of these two clubs wins the CAF Champions League. This is also a revenge match from last season. Remember last season, Rolani Mokoena is coaching Sundowns. Miguel Cardozo, the current Sundowns coach, was coaching Esperance Tunis, but he had just arrived. It was, I think, just a few weeks in, and he came in with this super defensive philosophy. And Mokoena's side were dominating and dominating and dominating and dominating, but they weren't scoring. And then with 3 touches, Esperance Tunis scores in Pretoria. A goal kick, flick on, and I think it was Raid Bushniba who smashes in the goal to put Sundowns to the sword. And I remember thinking this match encapsulates the criticism that you can have of Rolani Mokoena because, yes, he plays beautiful football, but in crucial moments, his sides have made some pretty big mental mistakes. And I think that was one of them. And yeah, it probably sent Sundowns a different direction, right? I mean, like, if he wins that match and makes it to the final, I mean, I guess when you listen to the explanations, they say that the differences between Rolando Mokoena and the Sundowns board were too deep seated. It wasn't necessarily not winning the CAF Champions League last year that sent them their separate ways, but winning cures a lot of things. Winning suppresses a lot of ego, makes people a lot happier. So who knows what would have happened if things went differently last year. But this is not the same Esperance. This is not the same Mamelodi Sundowns. This is not the same Miguel Cardozo. Um, Look, when I look at the two teams, like my heart is telling me Esperance, my head is telling me Sundowns, because when I look at the quality of attacking player that Sundowns have brought in with Ikram Rainers, bringing in Jaden Adams, so that attacking quality from midfield, Shalalile's niftiness this year. Um, when I look at that, and I remember that Esperance de Tunis don't have their starting center half, their captain, and they replaced him with a very shaky center half who started off very shaky, was solid, and then over the last week has been very, very shaky again. There's big questions about the center halves for Esperance de Tunis. I think lining Sundowns' attacking quality against Esperance de Tunis's center halves, that's a problem. So that's one thing. The other thing is Amanullah Memish, Esperance de Tunis is very young, promising, talented goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in Africa last year. He's been anything but this year. Very, very shaky. And you take a Thibaut Mokoena, and I mean, there's very few players in Africa that I'm more afraid of with the ball when he has it 30, 35 yards from goal. You know he's going to pepper your goalkeeper's fingers. Like those are two things, just like when I lined it two teams up side by side, I said, oh, that could be a problem for Esperance de Tunis. But Esperance, they have the best player on the pitch, Yusuf Belali, the best player in this competition, and he's capable of magic. And Elias Mokwana is, man, In South Africa, you guys gotta start showing him more respect. He's probably not too far away, you know. So the sheer quality of the Esperance players, but Sundowns defenders are better technically. The goalkeeper is more consistent and better. It's a very tough match. It's really a 50-50. If I have to pick one, I'm just gonna listen to my heart because I picked Esperance from the beginning of the year. I'll stick with them here. But really, it's man. But another chance for Sundowns to overcome the mental hurdles. Haven't been able to do it since 2016 in this competition. It's almost been 10 years. It's time now to prove that you've grown as a club. Okay, maybe we could have always blamed the naive, tactics on Mokoena, on Rolani Mokoena. Okay, you have another coach now. He's supposed to be savvy. He got to the final last year. Let's see if you can overcome it. But I don't think it's just a coach or it's a set of players. I think it's the club as a totality, being able to be headstrong, being able to have the maturity to make it to the next rounds of the knockout stages. So we'll see. We'll see. And then the final match, MC of Algiers versus Orlando Pirates. Orlando Pirates have been my favorite club to watch throughout this year. And it started very early because I had heard about whispers of them being so impressive last year. And so I sort of made a promise that I would follow them in the CAF Champions League this year, and they started off with a bang. I mean, winning against Sierra Belouizdad in Algeria 2-0, and it's your young stars that are winning you the game. Raleigh Mofokeng and Mohamed Kota in Algeria. Or was it 2-1? It was 2-1, I think. I mean, that was that immediately piqued my attention. And then the kind of football that Pirates were playing throughout the year, we talked about a lot on this channel. But like when you're playing football, let's simplify football, and you have a pass from player A to player B, right? That's 2D football. Pirates, what they do very, very, very well is player C is always in motion. So as soon as he sees player A with the intention of making the pass to player B, he's in motion. And usually the flick on comes from player B to player C, and it comes at pace. And opposing defenses are just flustered. They don't know what to do. So it can be an entry pass, sometimes from as far back as CBC, the center half, going into Evidence Makopa, the striker, lays it off to Maswangani, and then the player number four, D, whether it's Mofokeng or Nkota or Salang on the one occasion that he played, they're off to the races. And then Tito Maswangani is playing that through ball in. So man, like Pirates, that first of all, that takes a level of coaching that's high level. That's the Spanish school. That's beautiful. And makes you fall in love with the game, honestly, when you watch them play that kind of football. And the fact that they play, with that kind of pace in altitude, I think is another big advantage for Pirates. Um, by the way, what's going on with Selling? I see all this drama on South African Twitter, 48 hours, I don't know what. Like, is it just as simple as he doesn't want to sign a new contract or something like that, or is it go deeper than that? But I mean, it would be great to have him in the knockout stages. I think he could obviously produce a lot here. But look, this is not going to be easy. MC of Algiers, I saw some Pirates fans, I think, sort of breathe a sigh of relief, like saying, "Oh, we avoided Esperance, we avoided Ahly." MC of Algiers is a very tricky draw. Um, they didn't strengthen too much over January, but they brought in a new coach, Khalid bin Yahya, and since he's come along, they've had some great momentum. They won the Algerian Super Cup. They shot to the top of the Algerian League. They've instituted this very, very hectic press, which you can find if you look at the film study, and I think it's the third video. I mean, third. Go back 3 videos from this one, and you could see I did a little bit of a film study on MC of Algiers, and the press that Khalid bin Yahya has put in place. Um, and then even they got players coming back from injury. Kipre Zunan from Cote d'Ivoire and Mohamed Zougrana from Cote d'Ivoire as well. One of them is a winger, one of them is a central midfielder. Two very, very good players. Their striker is in form. Sofiane Bayazid, he's firing away. So the MC of Algiers that is playing right now is not the MC of Algiers that started the year in the CAF Champions League that maybe you weren't impressed with when you watched them play a match or two. Also, MC of Algiers is the most popular club in Algeria, 67,000 strong. When they play football matches, you're gonna feel it when you play in Algiers. And I know you say, "Oh, we already came to Algiers and won," but no, you won against Sierra Belouizdad. which don't get me wrong, they have decent support. But Sierra Belouizdad is not MC of Algiers in terms of like the kind of atmosphere that can be generated. It's another world. So I think this is a very tricky match, honestly. MC of Algiers also the best defense in the CAF Champions League, only conceded 2 goals. Remember, it was almost put 3 of their back 5 in the CAF Champions League group stage, or team of the group stage. They have, a young goalkeeper that's talented. They have a good center half, their captain. They have a good right back. Yeah, like this is a tough match. But I think it's going to be another clash of styles. MC of Algiers, I think, are going to be very, very cautious. They're going to probably focus on uh, attacking pirates in transition and in the air. Which, if you go back to the drubbing against Mamelodi Sundowns, pirates struggled with set pieces in the air, and they also struggled with transition defending. Now I know they didn't have all of their defenders, but like that's the blueprint for MC of Algiers. But I still think Pirates are the favorite here. Um, but this is another one where I talk about mental strength. I talked about Sundowns and Esperance, and it's going to be the exact same thing over here. Pirates play beautifully, but there's a difference between playing beautifully in the group stages and it being the quarterfinals, and now you're in a fist fight. And can you match up? I think they can. This is another one that I think is 51-49, but I'm gonna take Orlando Pirates. I think a lot of my countrymen are gonna be angry with that, but Pirates just showed me more over the group stages. But this is a very, very, very tricky match. Do not think that this is gonna be a walk in the park if you're Orlando Pirates. Anyways, we'll leave it there for now. Enough CAF Champions League talk. We'll be back, I think, next week, and I think we're going to talk. It's time to talk about Libya, isn't it? I mean, the amount of money that they've pumped into their football, inaugurating stadiums, buying players. We have to find out what's going on. So maybe we'll have a guest to talk about Libyan football early next week. And yeah, if you are excited about the draw, if you have any thoughts about the draw, please leave it in the comments below, and we'll speak soon. Peace.